It was a tough time for me because I enjoyed the Griffith Show so much.
What if the man who made the world laugh never stopped hurting inside? Don Knotts. Nervous, jittery, hilarious. To millions, he was the lovable deputy Barney Fife, a 5-time Emmy winner, a master of physical comedy, a face that sparked instant laughter. But behind the smile was something few ever saw, a lifetime of trauma, of fear, of feeling like he didn't belong. This is the true story of Don Knotts, comedy's quietest soul and its most haunted heart. Don Knotts was born in 1924 in the working-class town of Morgantown, West Virginia, during the Great Depression. He was the youngest of 4 boys, arriving 14 years after his next oldest sibling. His birth wasn't planned. His parents had just lost their farm, and the family was in financial and emotional freefall. His father, William, was nearly blind and suffering from schizophrenia, a condition poorly understood and untreated at the time. He was a heavy drinker and prone to violent, unpredictable outbursts. Don slept on a cot in the kitchen. There was no nursery, no privacy. The home was crowded and tense, often filled with boarders just to make ends meet. At school, he was bullied for being small, sickly, and wearing secondhand clothes. At home, he faced something far more terrifying. A father who, in episodes of paranoia, would threaten him with a knife. Don would later admit, "I lived in fear. I felt like a loser. I was unhappy most of the time." When Don was just 13, his father died from pneumonia. It was a moment that should have been marked by grief. Instead, for Don, it brought a strange sense of relief. The shadow that loomed over his childhood was finally gone, but the damage had been done. His older brothers, raised in more stable times, became hardened men. They drank, fought, and belittled him. Only one, nicknamed Shadow, showed kindness. He made Don laugh when no one else could. When Shadow died of an asthma attack, Don lost the only family member who ever made him feel safe. With no one to turn to, Don disappeared into his imagination. He created voices, characters, whole worlds. At 15, he built his own ventriloquist dummy, Danny, and started performing at churches and town events. It wasn't just a hobby, it was survival. For the first time, people laughed with him, not at him. And for the first time, he felt seen. Don left West Virginia for New York, determined to break into show business. But he was invisible in a city that valued tall, handsome, confident performers. He returned home defeated and enrolled at West Virginia University, studying theater. Then came World War II. Don was drafted into the Army at 19. He wasn't built for combat, too small, too anxious. So the military gave him another role, entertainer. He joined a special unit called the 6,817th Special Services Battalion, traveling across the Pacific performing in a comedy revue called Stars and Gripes. He used Danny, his ventriloquist dummy, to boost morale. But by the end of the war, something inside him changed. During the long ship ride home in 1945, Don picked up Danny and threw him overboard. He later said it felt like cutting a chain. He was done hiding behind a puppet. From then on, he would make people laugh as himself. Don returned to college under the GI Bill, graduated with a degree in speech and drama, and married his college sweetheart, Catherine Metz. He went back to New York, this time with confidence. His big break came with a role on the soap Search for Tomorrow, and then The Steve Allen Show in 1956. But it was in 1960 that his life changed forever, when he joined The Andy Griffith Show. Barney Fife, the jittery, overzealous deputy sheriff, was pure Don Knotts. The character wasn't just acted, it was lived. The nervous tics, the awkward bravado, the twitchy movements. It was the same energy that once made Don the butt of jokes as a kid, now transformed into comedic genius. Andy Griffith recognized his brilliance and let Don shine. Over 5 seasons, he won 5 Emmys for Best Supporting Actor. He left in 1965, believing the show would end. It didn't. In the following years, Don starred in a string of quirky comedies: The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, The Reluctant Astronaut, The Shakiest Gun in the West, all played to his lovable, anxious charm. Then, in 1979, a second wave of fame arrived. He joined Three's Company as the flamboyant, bug-eyed landlord Mr. Furley. A new generation fell in love with Don Knotts all over again. But behind the scenes, life took another cruel turn. In 1979, He was diagnosed with macular degeneration. His vision faded slowly. He kept it hidden. He kept working. Through voice roles in Chicken Little, appearances in That 70s Show, and even stage performances, Don never stopped. Even after he was diagnosed with lung cancer, he didn't quit. On February 24, 2006, Don Knotts passed away at the age of 81. His friend Andy Griffith sat by his side during his final hours. He was buried quietly in Los Angeles, but the tributes were thunderous. He wasn't just a comedian. He was a man who turned pain into laughter, a man who gave everything he had, even when he had so little left to give. Don Knotts didn't need to be loud to leave a legacy. He just needed to be honest, vulnerable, real. That's what made Don Knotts unforgettable.